Simon AF4V calculator. Number 1. The company's logo is a hexagon, has exactly 2 lines of symmetry. Okay. It has sides with whole numbers of lengths, and it has a perimeter of 26 centimeters. Draw a sketch of a possible logo. So we've got to draw one shape that satisfies all of these conditions. So hexagon, normally we think of a hexagon as looking like this, but generally that's a regular hexagon with lots of lines of symmetry. For example, corner to corner, the diagonal is like this, and another one across there, another one through the middle of the sides, and so on. Has 6 lines of symmetry, so that's no good. We only want 2 lines of symmetry. So let's think about it. Hexagon, 6 sides. So let's just draw half of a hexagon, maybe one side here, then a long side to make it unsymmetrical, and then there. That could be 3 sides, and we could do 3 sides along the other side here, and here, and here as like a reflection. Now we've got 2 lines of symmetry there. We've got this line and this line. So we've only got 2 lines of symmetry, so that's good. Next condition is it has sides with whole number lengths. That means there's no fractions or decimals, they're just whole numbers all the way around there. So I don't know, what could we try? Maybe that short side, we could call that 2 perhaps. Now if that was 2, let's just try it. 2, let's put 2 everywhere on those short sides. 2, 4, 6, 8, that would make 8. From 26 would leave 18 for the other 2 long sides, 9 and 9. That works, so we could have that. Question number 2. Mr. Adams' wife go to work for 5 days each week. If they use their car, then they travel a total distance of 8.4 miles each day. They do 42 miles per gallon on their car. Petrol costs £1.14 per litre. Each day they pay £5 parking. A lot of information here. If they use the bus to travel to work, they can buy a weekly ticket for £14.50. Use 1 gallon equals 4.5 litres. Is it cheaper to use the bus or the car? So, a lot of information. Let's do the bus first. That's nice and easy. They need to buy 2 tickets, one for each of them, at £14.50 each, which works out to be £29. Now, what about the car? If they travel to work by car, let's see, first of all, the distance. It is 8.4 miles, and they go for 5 days. So altogether, in the week, they do 5 lots, 5 times 8.4, which comes to, using your calculator, 42 miles. Okay, per week. Then their car travels 42 miles per gallon. So they use exactly 1 gallon of petrol to go 42 miles. And we know that 1 gallon is 4.5 litres. So it means they use 4.5 litres of petrol per week. And we know that 1 litre costs £1.14. So 4.5 litres of petrol cost 4.5 times £1.14. And using your calculator, you will find that that comes to £5.13. Now, each day they pay £5 parking, and they go for 5 days. So 5 lots of parking at £5 each comes to £25 for the parking. So the total, when they go use the car, will be £25 plus £5.13, which comes to £30.13. Compare that with the cost of going by bus, which was £29, and we see that the bus is cheaper. So we can write our conclusion that it is cheaper to use the bus. 5 marks, a lot of work there. Question 3 says, here are 2 number machines P and Q with an input and an output. Both machines have the same input. Work out the input that makes the output of P the output of P 3 times the output of Q. So let's call it X as the input. So X times 4 plus 3. So we can write it as 4X plus 3. That's the output of P. And that's got to be 3 times the output of Q. 3 times whatever the output of Q is. X times 2 is 2X. 2X minus 1. I write it as 2X minus 1 inside the bracket. That's what my Q was inside the bracket there. So now we can just tidy this up and see what we get. We've got 4X plus 3 is equal to, multiply out the bracket, 3 times 2X is 6X minus 3. Now bring the X's to the right and the 3 over to the left. I get 6 on the left equals 6X minus 4X, 2X. And divide both sides by 2, I get X equals 3. That's my answer for question 3. So in question 4, Carl runs 100 meters in 13 seconds. He assumes he can run any distance at the same rate. He says, I would run 1500 meters in 3 minutes and 15 seconds. Tick a box to show whether his time to run 1500 meters is likely to be accurate. So we can choose no, the time will be longer, or yes, it will be 3 minutes 15, or no, the time will be shorter, and give working and a reason. So 1500 meters in 3 minutes 15. So let's see, he can do 100 meters. We know he can do 100 meters in 13 seconds. So 100 meters, 13 seconds. So when he wants to run 1500 meters, that is 100 times more, 15 times more than 100 meters. So it's 15 lots of 13 seconds, according to Carl, which would be 195 seconds. And if we change that to minutes and seconds, divide by 60, we have 3 minutes and 15 seconds remaining. So according to Carl's calculations, yes, the time would be 3 minutes 15 seconds. But I think I would say no, the time will be longer, because though he can run a short distance at that speed, to run a very long distance, what happens when you run a long distance? You get tired. So I think the time will be longer. So I'm saying it will be longer because he gets tired and runs more slowly. As you go on, you run more slowly than you were at the beginning. So that's my reason. 5. Which sequence is a geometric progression? Circle your answer. So, geometric progression numbers have a common ratio between two terms. So it means that we always multiply by the same number from one term to the next. Like from 1 to 3, I'm multiplying by 3, but from 3 to 6, I'm multiplying by 2. From 6 to 12, I'm multiplying by 2. So these are not the same ratio. Whereas 2 to 4 is times 2, 4 to 8 times 2, 8 to 16 times 2. Yes, that has a common ratio, so that is the correct one. I'm multiplying by 2 every time. These other two don't work at all. So that is the correct one for geometric progression, the first one. Question 6. Pyramid has a square base. Doesn't look like a square in the diagram, but it is a square base. And we've got to work out the volume of the pyramid. So that's a square, that red shape. So we've got that the area of the base, first of all, is going to be 10 by 10. Sorry, whoops, my page is slipping down. 10 by 10, which equals 100. So the volume of the pyramid will equal 1/3, according to the formula, times the area of the base, which we know now is 100, times the height of the pyramid. And the height of the pyramid, looking at the diagram, we see is 12. So we just work out this. 3 into 12 goes 4. 4 times 100 is 400. And it's cubic centimeters, since we're working in centimeters. Question 7. The universal set is 15, 16, and so on, up until 27. R is prime numbers, and D is numbers whose digits add up to 8. Complete the Venn diagram. So let's try and write down the members of these sets R and D. R, prime numbers. Yes, 17 is a member. Any others? 19, yes. 20, 21, 22, 23 is one. 4, 25, 26, 27. Those are the only three. 17, 19, and 23. I can write for R. And for D, now, numbers whose digits add up to 8. So the first number, 15, 1 and 5 is 6. No, 1 and 6, 1 and 7. Yeah, 1 plus 7 is 8. That makes sense. 1 plus 8 is 9. 1 plus 9 is 10. 2 plus 0 is 2. 2 and 1, 2 and 2, 2 and 3, 2 and 4, 2 and 5. 2 and 6, 26. They add up to 8. 2 plus 6 is 8. So, how do I place these now? Here, 17, I notice, belongs to both sets, R and D, so that's in the intersection. What else do I have? I got 19 and 23 are the other prime numbers, so I can put those in R. And 26 is the other member of D, so I can put that in there. And everything else of the universal set belongs outside the circles but inside the rectangle, so I can put 15, 16, not 17, no, that's already there, 18, not 19, 20, 21, 22, 24, 25, and 27. There we are. Question part B says, which one of the numbers is chosen at random? Write down the probability that it is in R intersection D. That's the intersection of 17. There's only one of those out of how many altogether? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13. Question 8. Coin is rolled onto a grid of squares. It lands randomly on the grid. To win, the coin must land completely within one of the squares. Anila and Mark each roll the coin a number of times and record their results. So we see the results of Anila: 11 wins, 39 losses, and Mark, let's write down the total. So for Anila, 11 plus 39 is 50, Mark, 23 and 77 is 100 altogether, because that's quite useful. Work out two different estimates for the probability of winning. So for Anila, there's going to be 11 chances of winning out of a total of 50. And for Mark, it's going to be 23 chances of winning out of 100. So 11 out of 50 and 23 out of 100. And the question asks, which of your estimates is the better one for the probability of winning? And I would say that since Anila did 50 trials and Mark did 100 trials, that means he did more trials. And if you do more trials, then the likelihood is you'll get a better estimate for the probability. So Mark is my answer. And the reason he had a greater number of trials. Question 9 says, in a sale, the original price of a coat was reduced by a quarter. The sale price of the coat is now £27.60. Work out the original price. So X has been knocked off a quarter, they've reduced it by a quarter, and it now becomes £27.60. So if you reduce X by a quarter, that means you're left with 3/4 of X. So 3/4 of the original price is equal to £27.60. So we try to solve that for X by saying that X will equal 4 times 2760 divided by 3. And this, when you work it out with your calculator, comes to 36.80. So the original price of the coat was £36.80. Question 10. Jim says for similar triangles, corresponding sides are equal. Is Jim's statement true always, sometimes, or never? And circle your answer. So similar triangles, that means triangles which are the same shape or same angles they have. So for example, I could have this triangle is the same shape as this bigger triangle because the angles, corresponding angles are equal. One could be obtained from the other one by an enlargement. But you could also have this second triangle here, that's also similar to the first one. They are similar. So sometimes the sides are equal, the corresponding sides are equal, other times they're not equal. Okay, so the answer is sometimes. Here, number 11, ABC is an isosceles right-angled triangle, and ACDE is a square. Work out the length of EC, which is the diagonal of the square there. So let's have a look. We've got 5 there and 5 there in triangle ABC. ABC, it's got a right angle, so we can use Pythagoras' theorem. If I call that third side x, I could say that x squared equals the sum of the other two sides squared, which equals 25, and 25 is 50. I'm not going to use my calculator. I'll just write that x equals the square root of 50, and I'll leave it like that. Then we can now move along to this square, and inside the square, that diagonal is part of a triangle. We've got square root of 50 along x there, and because it's a square, it's the same on this side here. So all we want to know is that side, which I'll call y. You like, just keep it nice and small. So y squared, because it's Pythagoras, there's a right angle there, it's a square. So y squared is equal to square root of 50 squared plus square root of 50 there squared. And now, square root of 50 times the square root of 50 is just 50. So each one of those brackets comes to 50. So 50 plus 50 is 100. Y squared is 100. So y is the square root of 100, or just 10. And we're working in centimeters. So y equals, EC rather, equals 10 centimeters. Question 12. Circle the equation of a line that is parallel to y equals 7x plus 2. So lines which are parallel, they have the same slope or the same gradient, as we call it. And when you're looking at the equation of a line, the gradient in an equation of a line is given by the coefficient of x, the number in front of x. So that's using the line y equals mx plus c. So for any straight line y equals mx plus c, we're just looking for the coefficient of x, minus 2 there, 7 there, so those two are not the same. I'm looking for another line which has a coefficient of x of 7. The second one there has 7, third one 2, last one is just 1 if you like. So that is the equation which has a gradient equal to the original gradient, a parallel. Number 13, at a school, number of boys to the number of girls is in the ratio of 7 to 5, and there are 48 more boys than girls. Work out the total number of students at the school. Let's suppose there are 7x boys, and that the girls would then be 5x, because they've got to be in the ratio of 7 to 5. Now the difference between 7x and 5x is 2x. So we can say that 2x must equal 48, because we know the difference is 48 between boys and girls. So that means that x is 48 divided by 2 is 24. So boys now, I can work out straight away. Boys is 7x, so it's 7 times 24, which comes to 168. And girls is equal to 5x, so 5 times 24, which equals 120. But they're asking us for the total number of students. So the total, just add the boys and girls together, and you get 288. Question 14. Circle the equation with roots minus 2 and 3. So if an equation has a root, a solution of -2, that means that it should have a factor of x plus 2, means x plus 2 equals 0. So I can write x plus 2 is one of the factors. And if an equation has 3, that means that x minus 3 equals 0. So x minus 3 is a factor. So those are the two factors, x plus 2 and x minus 3. I look for them, and there they are. The last question finally. The pattern is made from two similar triangles. Show that the shaded area is 320. So let's see. The area of the big triangle is a half of a triangle is half base times height. So the base is 30 times the height of the triangle is 24, which comes to 360 square centimeters. This is an area. Now, let's look at the little white triangle. It's similar to the grey triangle, but that's because it doesn't look like it because it's been rotated around. You'd have to imagine the white one being rotated and then enlarged, if you like. So we've got the big one there, and the small one. Rotate that around, it becomes like this, and make it smaller as well. Then the 30, which is along the base of the big one, becomes the base there. So that 30 becomes 10. So if 30 becomes 10 and they're similar, that means the scale factor is 1/3 for all the sides. And we know something, well, let's say the ratio of small triangle to big triangle is equal to, now it's not 1/3 because when it's areas we have to square the scale factor. So it's 1/9 for the areas. 1/3 squared is 1/9. And we know that the big one is 320. So now we can get the area of the small one. It's going to be 1/9 of the area of the big triangle. So we've got 1/9 of 360, which is 40 square centimeters for the small white triangle. But we want the shaded area, which is just the big triangle minus the small triangle. (360) minus 40. Which is what we were asked to show.